What if I told you the world is full of incredible places and unbelievable stories? Today, we're exploring 6 of the most fascinating stories from around the world. Let's dive in. If you want to travel around the world, it's not that hard to do. All you need is a flight, a few transfers, and a couple of $1,000s. But if you lived over 100 years ago, here is how you would do it. Based on the example of the famous characters of Jules Verne's novel, Phileas Fogg and Jean Passepartout made their journey around the world in 80 days.
Oh, wow.
The travel started in London by train. They crossed Europe and reached eastern Italy, where they took a ship and sailed across the Mediterranean Sea to Egypt, Suez. Then they sailed again, crossing the Red Sea and the Arabian Sea, and arrived in India, Bombay. The trip across India took 3 days, and the heroes even had to ride an elephant for part of the way. They traveled by ship from India to Hong Kong, and from Hong Kong to Japan. From Yokohama, the characters went to America on a long voyage through the Pacific Ocean. In 22 days, they reached San Francisco by train. They crossed America and arrived in New York. They boarded a ship and crossed the Atlantic Ocean to Ireland and back to London, ending their world tour and winning the dispute. Did you know that it's physically impossible to drive from North America to South America? It's all because of one place, the Darien Gap, one of the most dangerous places on Earth. It breaks the world's longest road, the Pan-American Highway. Attempting to cross this section can be deadly. But why? The reason is that there are about 160 kilometers, 100 miles of dense tropical rainforest, swamps, and mountains located on the border between Panama and Colombia. The difficult terrain, humid climate, and constant heavy rainfall make building a road almost impossible and extremely expensive. That's why the Pan-American Highway was never completed through this section. Today, the Darien Gap is the only land route for many migrants searching for a better life. They attempt to cross its nearly impassable jungles, but not all of them reach their destination. The danger isn't just the harsh terrain and deadly wildlife. The lack of government control has also made the region a haven for criminals, smugglers, and armed gangs, greatly increasing the risk of robbery, kidnapping, Do you know how the U.S. grew from just a few colonies into a giant, 11 times bigger, all within 100 years?
No!
Back in 1776, North America was divided between Britain, Spain, and vast indigenous lands that Europeans hadn't yet conquered. At that time, the 13 British colonies adopted the Declaration of Independence and declared themselves the United States of America. After years of fighting, Britain officially recognized their independence through the Treaty of Paris. The U.S. gained vast territory all the way to the Mississippi River and began actively settling it. In 1803, a massive land deal with France doubled the size of the United States through the Louisiana Purchase. A few years later, Florida was partly taken by force and partly purchased from Spain. After Texas split from Mexico and joined the United States, the Mexican-American War broke out. In the end, the U.S. gained the entire West. Mass migration of Americans along the Oregon Trail led to an agreement with Britain, and the border was set at the 49th parallel. Finally, a deal with Russia added Alaska, the last big piece of the puzzle on the continental U.S. map. Why don't radars work over the ocean? Look, there are actually blind spots for land-based radars because they only have a range of about 320 kilometers, 200 miles. So, does this mean aircraft become invisible over the ocean? Not exactly. You see, radars send out powerful radio waves that reflect off an aircraft and return to the radar, making it possible to determine the aircraft's altitude, speed, and direction. But because the Earth is round, after about 320 kilometers, the plane goes beyond the radar's line of sight. To cover the entire ocean, another radar would need to take over, but that would require hundreds of radar stations, and they all need to be built on land. That's why these blind spots exist, and aircraft eventually disappear from land-based radar coverage. However, thanks to modern technology, satellites are used to determine aircraft's exact locations. In addition, onboard radar systems, which have a much shorter range, help pilots detect other aircraft and avoid collisions. Pilots can also use high-frequency, HF, radio communications to contact air traffic control. These radio waves reflect off the ionosphere, allowing them to travel beyond the Earth's curvature. Have you ever heard about the deadliest waters in the world, where waves tower as high as 50 feet and countless ships have vanished? Welcome to the Drake Passage, the most dangerous strait in the world, earning it the nickname the ship's graveyard. The farther you sail from the equator, the more treacherous the seas become. Up to the 20th parallel, sea routes are relatively safe. However, once you cross this invisible line, the seas become increasingly treacherous, with unpredictable weather and stronger currents. The Drake Passage is located at the southern tip of South America and the northern reaches of Antarctica, where three oceans collide. What makes the Drake Passage so deadly is the narrowing of the two continents, which funnels atmospheric cyclones through this 600-mile stretch. With no landmass to slow them down, winds reach terrifying speeds, whipping up waves that can soar to a staggering 50 feet high. Before the Panama Canal opened in 1914, this treacherous route was the only connection between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Today, the Drake Passage remains a crucial route for scientific expeditions and the occasional thrill-seeking tourist. Did you know about this enigmatic, unseen boundary that no animal, bird, or fish ever crosses? This mysterious line, known as the Wallace Line, runs between the islands of Bali and Lombok in the Malay archipelago. Although these islands are only 22 miles, the wildlife on each side is strikingly different. On the western side, you'll find Asian animals such as tigers, elephants, and orangutans, while the eastern side is home to Australian species like kangaroos, koalas, and cassowaries. Even marine life respects this invisible border. Many fish species rarely venture across it. But why does it exist? During the Ice Age, Bali was connected to the Asian mainland, while Lombok was part of the Australian continent. As the ice melted and sea levels rose, these land bridges disappeared, but the ecological separation remained. This isolation led to the evolution of unique animals on each side of the Wallace Line. The line roughly follows the edge of the Sunda Shelf, marking where the ocean floor suddenly drops from about 200 meters to more than 1,000 meters deep. These deep waters prevented many animals from crossing, even when sea levels were much lower. Next time you think of Asia and Australia, remember the invisible boundary that has kept their wildlife world separate for millions of years. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to discover more amazing places, history, and facts from around the world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. See you in the next adventure.